ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I know how much you guys like positivity, and you'd love it if I could sit here right today and speak to you on things that are so positive, to lift you up, to make you feel good, like Osteen. You would really adore that. But you know, sometimes if you love someone, you have to be honest with them. You have to tell them the truth. Now, I'm sure that many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's almost like what the population says today is when you got children, you have to speak to them about positive things. When they do something, lift them up, tell them how wonderful they are, even though some of the things that they're doing are sickening. But you say, don't chastise them because it brings out the negativity in them and they might latch on to it. You know how these conversations go. But what I want to talk to you about today is, what are the commonalities between Noah, between Moses, and the founding fathers? Well, we say the story tells us that Noah had a message to the people. The people had kind of gone their own way. They didn't understand the purpose, the true purpose of life. Didn't matter what was said, what was going on. They had their own thing going, and it was the number one thing of the day. It was the thing that was their concern. And the Spirit of life spoke to Moses and basically told Moses the same things he's told all of the other generations since then, that the people were on a bad path. If they didn't change, the land was going to have to be destroyed, and that would include them. Well, to make a long story short, the people, regardless of what they thought, what they believed, it wasn't the right thoughts. It wasn't the right belief. And as a consequence of that, a flood came and wiped them out, except those who accepted the truth. And according to the story, that number was limited. So you get a picture of what they want to call the broad way is. And the straight and narrow way had Noah, and his family. But all of the other part of the human race, all of their different beliefs, all their different thoughts were anti-life. And so that was their choice. And so there they were. But civilization did not end. It kept on keeping on. Now, this is what the story of Noah goes. The story of Moses is that here's another civilization in time when people were oppressed, same as they were before. Not everybody. Some was riding the high tides of life. They called themselves connected to the divine, whatever those divines were, whether it was the sun, whether it was the moon, whether it was the rocks, whether it was the water, whether it was a statue, or whether it was a mask. They exerted the power, and it oppressed people. And so the story tells us that the Spirit of life engaged itself into a man by the name of Moses, and took Moses through all Moses had to go through to learn the message. And having learned the message, Moses went down in Egypt land and told old Pharaoh to let the people go. Now, some people try to say it was the Israelites, the Hebrew people, but what it actually referred to, all of the people who were in bondage. All of the people who were in bondage is what Moses really was reaching out for. And so atrocities visited upon the Egyptian people till finally they decided to get them out of here. Get them out. And so Moses was leading the people out of bondage. And there were some obstacles. But in the process, they got a chance to see the mighty workings of the almighty power that Moses was telling them about. They were getting to the promised land. And when they walked into the promised land, they expected miracles to happen. These people who had built Egypt, who had created all that Egypt was about, just responding to directions. Now they were in a place where work was needed. And rather than put their hands to it according to those dreams of their life, they wanted to establish in this place the same kind of situation that they had just come from. Somebody on the up and up. People got social statuses. All of these same old things they had just run from, and create the same kinds of gods they had before. This is what they knew, and this is what they accepted. Well, Moses talked to them. Moses shared with them what the Spirit had shared with Moses. But what good did it do? It did no good. So the people established the same kind of system that they had come from. Now, what happened when we come to the Founding Fathers? The Founding Fathers had gotten upset with those who had authority over them. You know, sometimes we call these people the big-headed people, the hard-headed people, the people that we want to follow. We want to go and follow these people because they are upset with a certain establishment, so they got to be with us. And so the story goes that these people came over in a new land that they had not visited, but found that there were people here already. But what do? They decided to pretend like they were friends, while all the while they were lying to the people. They were deceiving the people. And because of the status that they brought with them, and that's most of them had money, they were the upperclassmen. They were the ones riding the highways. And they used everybody else as serfs, paying them to do this and to do that. So whatever was established, those who had money were the ones that were claiming it, and those who didn't had been reduced as far as their spiritualness is concerned, as far as their understanding of life was concerned, till they just accepted, as we do today, whatever the people who have money tell us. And that's what they went for. And so you had a situation where people were claiming land, taking land, building things, using other people to do things for them, taking the voice away from anybody that had no money. You had no money, you had no voice. You just did what you were told so you can get something to survive. Just put a muzzle on the women, treated natives and blacks and Chinese and others as slaves, creating the same kind of establishment that they had just come from. Now, do you see what was common amongst the three? Noah, Moses, and the Founding Fathers? None of them knew God. None of them had no relationship with God. None of them understood truth. All they understood was power and who had it and how to manipulate it. That's all it was. And today we're still living right within that Founding Father complex. Same old thing. And what happened before? Those powers and systems and institutions and dynasties failed, as this is on the path of doing. We are so far on the path of this destruction and going down the rabbit hole until we have allowed, my friends, in the United States of America, out of all of the stuff that's been done, all of the usurping of what the Constitution had thought it had established for the benefit of the people, has no real value today. To the extent that they brought in a person to be president of the United States who got no moral value, who got no concept of what morality really is. Just lie before the people. And what happens? He got a group of people in this nation that love them the same way a group of people in Germany loved Hitler. Same way people in Italy love Mussolini. All of these places where people have been oppressed and they're trying to find some escape. But nobody is lifting up God and the reality of what God really is about. I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, here in America and all over the globe, there is not but one power that loves you to the extent that your individual dream can come true. And he had it fixed up in such a way that in order for your individual dream to come true, it must work together with the wholeness of all, that each individual's dream could come true. But we have been so trained, so brainwashed, so left out of the understanding of God until we are here today being led by a gentleman who has no morality whatsoever, but who is smart enough to know that even in this United States of America, where things are supposed to be handled in a certain kind of way, he does it the way he wants to do it. He's not asking Congress, can I do this? He's not asking the powers that be that's within the system to give him authority or permission or to grant him whatever he needs. He just does it. Says he's going to do it as an individual, a dictator. And he got all of those people who's loving him, who jump up and raising hands when he make these speeches, where he try to degrade certain individuals and groups within this society. They just go all proud about it and all excited about it. And when he does things, he got a people in Congress called his party that just back him up all the way, and that's all he's looking for. Now they've joined with the others who are out there behind him saying, come on, Jesus. Come on, Jesus. They all there together. And because the Democrats have no plan, they stand up and try to draw a little attention to what the devaluing of his actions is, but it's really having no handprint because it has no direction. It has no instructions. It has no guidelines. It's just something that's up there being opposition, the way the Republicans gave opposition to Barack Obama, the Democrats. But, ladies and gentlemen, what we have in all of this is a situation where the man is still getting over on people. Now he's planning his next election, where all of the people within these churches, all of these people who say they love God, who have no idea of what God is, who have accepted the systems of the world as being the guidelines, who have accepted that money comes from heaven, who have accepted that whoever has the money runs the show, and they need this money, they want this money. So they're all falling in line just to say they can survive. And God is just a figment of their imagination and not even there that much. And here we are, going straight down that rabbit hole, and you've been told that you're on the path to hell and you don't even care. Those people who are living today, who are growing up today, those who got a little brains, who can remember stuff, they are being sucked out of the society.